Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Naufal Asward, and I'll be acting as the moderator for this session for Muhammad Daffa Tsaqif Naufal from class 12 MIPA 2 that will be delivering his research presentation on a comparative study on the prevalence rates of cyberbullying towards teens of SMA Islam Athirah 1 Makassar compared to traditional bullying. Now, I invite our honorable examiners to go up on the stage. Langsung. Sebut. Oh, langsung sebut.
Iya, langsung.
Oh, iya. Now, before we get to the presentation itself, allow me to introduce our honorable judges for today. Our first judge's full name is Syahrianti, S.Pd, M.Pd, but she also goes by Miss or Bu Yanti. She was born in Ujung Pandang, 17th of June, 1990. She currently works as a teacher in SD Islam Athirah 1 Makassar. Her formal and non-formal education history includes SD Negeri Bontoa, SMP Negeri 9 Makassar, SMA Negeri 4 Makassar, S1 Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris Universitas Negeri Makassar, S2 Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris PPS UNM, and awardee BPI GTK S3 PPS UNM. Her work history includes Sony Sugema College, SD Islam Athirah 2 Makassar, TK Islam Athirah 2 Makassar, Institut Teknik dan Bisnis Kala, and finally SD Islam Athirah 1 Makassar. Our second judge's full name is Dwi Azmiyana SS, but she also goes by her nickname Dwi. She was born in Selayar 2nd of August 1991, and she currently works as a teacher in SD Islam Athirah 1 Makassar. Her educational history includes S1 Sastra Inggris Universitas Hasanuddin. Her work history includes as a teacher in SD Islam Athirah 1 Makassar until now. Now, without wasting any more time, I invite the presenter Muhammad Daffa Tsaqif Naufal to begin his presentation. Time and stage is yours.
Thank you, the moderators. Check, 1, 2, okay. Okay, I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Daffa Tsaqif Naufal, and today I would like to, on this occasion, present my research that I have been doing for a whole entire year now, with a lot of capsaicin going inside of my body and a lot of sleepless nights, a comparative study on the prevalence rate of cyberbullying towards teens of SMA Athirah 1 Makassar compared to traditional bullying. Thank you. Now, before I get any more deep inside of the discussion, I would like to thank, first of all, the Almighty God, of course, our prophet, and my teachers, and also my mentors that have helped me throughout the way in this research. And I could never forget the honorable judges that have lended their time in listening me rambling about cyberbullying today. And of course, how could I ever forget my parents that are hopefully on the way right now, who have enormously helped me throughout the years on making this research, and especially even today in preparing my speech. Now, without further ado, let's get on to the presentation itself. So, as you can see right over here, it's a research on a comparative study on the prevalence rate of cyberbullying and also traditional bullying. Now, why did I pick this specifically? Why did I pick cyberbullying and traditional bullying as my title of research? Well, as we all can know, that cyberbullying and also bullying is currently on the rise on social media and also in our school grounds right now. It's a terrible major public health issue that have been agreed upon by several people in the scholarly circles. It's a major public health issue because it adversely affects a youth adjustment. Students that are cyberbullied or even traditional bullied in the school grounds have a tendency to be adversely affected, such as in their social skills and also in their learning and so on and so forth. There's also substantial educational and clinical interest in prevention programs. Prevention programs being programs that are set to prevent bullying and also cyberbullying acts. And of course, there's also the lack of clear picture of the extent of the bullying problem online compared to offline. And there's also a lack of data currently in Athirah when talking about the issue of bullying and cyberbullying. Which, if Athirah want to create a prevention program effective enough, they need this kind of data so that it will be effective and also not as inefficient or obsolete. From all of that explanation, we can conclude the key issue of today's presentation, that is to compare and delineate cyberbullying and traditional bullying for any effective policies or rules against bullying and bullying intervention programs. For the data that is going to be harnessed from this research will be used by SMA Islam Athirah 1 Makassar for future policy making and also intervention programs, and also enhancing already existing policies and intervention programs already being set in the school. And for this research to be used for clear guidance for parents, teachers, and victims of bullying in charting the issue of cyberbullying and traditional bullying. Now that we all have known what the purpose and what's the benefit of this study, what are the key issues, let's go on to my second chapter, the literature review. As you all can know, the title says there's a comparative study. So, to simplify enough, comparative study is the act of comparing two or more things with a view for discovering something about one or all of the things that are being compared. In this study, I'm using two variables, and those are, I'm using two subjects, and those are traditional bullying and also cyberbullying as the things that are going to be compared. Simple enough? Let's continue. Now, cyberbullying, it can be defined by the scholarly circles as an aggressive intentional act carried out by a group or individual using electronic form of contact repeatedly and over time against a victim who cannot easily defend him or herself. So if it does not fit with this definition, so if the victim can defend him or herself easily, then we cannot consider that cyberbullying. We can consider that as simple tomfoolery. Now, cyberbullying have actually been researched overall over time by several researchers, such as these fine gentlemen right over here in the PowerPoint slides. They can be concluded, their opinion saying that cyberbullying, with the advent of social media and internet usage of the students, have been on the rise over the past few years. Meanwhile, there's also some other scholars that have formulated that cyberbullying is not actually as a high prevalent rate phenomenon as we all expected it to be. Always 2012 has stated that cyberbullying is a low prevalence phenomenon which has not increased over time and has not created many new victims and bullies. With all of the past studies said and done, let's see what are the types of cyberbullying. There's something called flaming, which is sending angry messages online towards the victim. There's also harassment, discrimination towards someone on the race, gender, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and social status, and so on. There's also denigration, defamatory information being spread around the victim. Masquerading, using someone else's identity, acting as an imposter, outing and trickery, social exclusion, and cyber stalking. With all of that being explained, I guess we all have a grasp inside the issue of cyberbullying. Now on to regular bullying. Now, the scholarly circles have defined cyberbullying as an aggressive intentional act or behavior that is carried out by a group or an individual repeatedly and over time against a victim who cannot easily defend him or herself. So basically, it's just like cyberbullying, but without the premise of it being done online. Now, bullying have been studied more even before cyberbullying, considering it has happened even before the advent of social media. And as we can see over here, most of the scholars have unanimously agreed that traditional bullying is indeed still more prevalent than cyberbullying, even with the advent of social media. Now, with all of that information said, let's see what types of bullying are actually being done by bullies inside of school grounds. There's something called direct physical aggression, which can be explained as an act of physical violence, such as hitting, kicking, shoving, pushing, tripping, pinching, and also the damage of property of the victims. There is also direct verbal aggression, which includes teasing, taunting, and threatening with the intent of hurting the victim. And there is also indirect aggression, which includes inflicting pain without showing the intent to hurt. Now, on to the intervention measures and policies undertaken by the international community. That I'm using two of such as an example. There's the OBPP, or the Always Bullying Prevention Program, which can be simplified as an intervention measure that is undertaken in 4 levels of the school environment. There's the school, the classroom, the individual, and also the community. The OBPP is currently being held as the most internationally recognized bullying prevention program in the entire world right now. There's also the Roots program undertaken by the Indonesian Ministry of Education and Culture and is currently being implemented in our school right now in SMA Islam Athirah Makassar. It involves 2 components. Having 30 students from the school community be taken to be agents of change, spreading anti-bullying values in school, and having the facilitators or the teachers help the agent of change in sharing those values. Now that we have understand the scope of the issue, we're going on to the methodology of my research. For the methodology, the research method that I'm using right now is called the quantitative method. The quantitative method, why did I pick this method? It's because I need to find a lot of data from a lot of samples from throughout the population. So that's why I picked the quantitative method. The data collection is done through a questionnaire that we filled anonymously to the samples through Google Form. As for the variables of this research, there are 2. There's the independent and the dependent variables. For the independent variables, there are the student of SMA Islam Athirah Makassar grade 10, 11, and 12. Meanwhile, as for the dependent variables, those are the prevalence of bullying and cyberbullying experienced by the samples, the types of it, and also the internet activity of the samples. Moving on to the population used as said by the title, the student of SMA Islam Athirah Makassar. And as for the samples, I use something called convenience sampling. Basically, for those that fill the form first, those people are going to be the samples for my research. And fortunately enough, with the convenience sampling method, I accumulated 42 samples for this research. For the instrument of data collection, the questionnaire that I'm using for the data collection is based off of Don Aloysius' questionnaire on bullying for students with some slight modification to fit with the variables of cyberbullying and also the internet usage. For the questionnaire itself, it collects data on the prevalence of bullying and cyberbullying of the samples, the types of it, that the sample experienced in the time frame of a couple of months or 2 to 3 months before, and also the sample's internet activity in the same time frame. There will be 2 versions of the questionnaire, the English version and the Indonesian version. Why did I release it in 2 versions? Because as of currently, not all students in SMA Islam Athirah Makassar can comprehend basic English skills. The questionnaire will also be in the form of a Google form and distributed through WhatsApp towards the samples. Now, for the concept of the questionnaire, there's the description, disclaimer, and the questions. As can be seen here, the description is the definition of includes a definition of bullying and cyberbullying, a quick summary of what the samples will find below, and an acknowledgement for privacy concerns. Now, an explanation on what is bullying and what is not is shown in a disclaimer to prevent contamination of the data and to prevent any discrepancy by the samples. For the question itself, as we can see, there's some question to see the prevalence rate of cyberbullying and bullying. There's also to find the prevalence rates of the types of bullying and the cyberbullying that are being inflicted upon towards the victims. There's also a question on the internet usage that will be important later on. Now, on to the results. For the results that I found, we can see that from the result of the questionnaire, the data shows that most students aren't victim of bullying, with 66.67% stating that they have never been bullied over the past 2 to 3 months. But on the contrary, we can see there's 33.33% of students that have been bullied traditionally inside the school grounds, but only a few of them are bullied commonly inside the school grounds with a number of 4.76%. Cyberbullying prevalence rates isn't as plentiful as traditional bullying, with the majority of students not being victims of cyberbullying, or more accurately, 78.57%. The contrary is lower than that of traditional bullying, with only 21.43% all in all. But still, only a few are regularly cyberbullied. Most only happen once or twice a month, or 19.85% of all of the samples. Now, for the type of bullying that are being found inside of school grounds, we found that the most common type of bullying experience is direct verbal aggression, with victims getting called mean names or made fun of in a hurtful way. The second most prevalent case being indirect aggression, with victims having been excluded by their friends. And lastly, physical aggression, with victims hit, kick, push, or shove around, money taken away from them, and got threatened to do something out of their will. For the prevalence rates of the types of bullying endured by our students, the data acquired shows overwhelming majority of students stating flaming as the form of cyberbullying endured, with 55.56% showing that they have been sent hurtful message online. Harassment is second place, with victims discriminated over their religion, race, gender, disability, social status, and so on and so forth. Denigration only happens rarely. Now, for the activity of the internet, why did I collect this data? Is to find the link between the cyberbullying data, the prevalence rate, and also the activity over the internet of the students. From the data acquired, the data shows that 35.71% have not posted anything on social media, while the rest of the 64.29% have at the very least an active presence in it, with daily posting only accumulating only 7.14%, showing that our students are indeed active, but only a small percentage are posting daily. Now, when the data from social media activity and from cyberbullying are linked, we can observe that people that post daily have a higher chance of being cyberbullied with 66.67%. Meanwhile, the rest are only having a chance in the number of 15% to 20%. With all of the data being resulted, we can finally come to the conclusion, and that is, there is indeed a stark difference on prevalence rate of cyberbullying and traditional bullying, with traditional bullying accumulating 33.33% and cyberbullying 21.43%. There is a difference of 11.9% from traditional bullying. Results on our research in traditional bullying and cyberbullying is in line with researchers from all around the world, which shows a data consistency of 20 to 35%. And this proves once again that cyberbullying is not as prevalent as traditional bullying in the school ground. There are other conclusions that we can take from this research as well, that most traditional bullying cases come in the form of direct verbal aggression, while the second most prevalent case is indirect aggression. Direct physical aggression is the least prevalent of all bullying cases. It is advised for the school to focus more on preventing verbal aggression in combating bullying. Flaming is above all the most prevalent out of all of the cyberbullying cases. Meanwhile, 1/3 of the cases are harassment, while the rarest one is denigration. This shows an overwhelming importance to preventing flaming within school boundaries. And as for my last conclusion, there is less chance of being cyberbullied when social media usage is kept at a rate below daily posting. Daily posting raises the chance of a person to be cyberbullied considerably. I think that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
What a great presentation from Muhammad Daffa Tsaqif Naufal. It really showed the comparison between cyberbullying and traditional bullying, and on the school grounds, and how it can happen just among us. Next, we move on to the question and answer session. If our examiners have any questions, you may ask it to the presenter, and it will be followed by the answers. I welcome the examiners.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, let me introduce myself first. I'm Miss Yanti and my friend Miss Dwi. We are from Athirah Islamic Elementary School. We are English teachers there. And hi Daffa, do you still remember me? No? I'm your English teacher when you were in elementary school. Oh, okay. Okay, so actually it's interesting research, yeah, Daffa, that it's really interesting paper or research that you have here, and I really appreciate this research. So we as a teacher have seen many or receive many reports from students that in school there are many cyberbullying and also traditional bullying, yeah. But however, it's not easy to find the valid data, yeah. It's not easy to find the valid data. regarding cyberbullying and also traditional bullying and its impact to the students. So my question is, I just want you to explain more about how did you get this number from the population and samples, instrument of data collection. How did you get, or how did you collect the data? And then maybe you can share the step that you find first, yeah, from the population instrument, and then where did you get the number from this research? Okay, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Can we get the PowerPoint slide back in? The PowerPoint slide, yes. Slide PPT-nya mau ditampilkan lagi. Oh ya, terima kasih. Okay, so thank you for the question. Basically, the question that the examiner asked is about how I got these numbers. Well, I must say, it is truly hard to find the numbers for this, especially because people are not really, they don't really want to say that they are cyberbullying victims. They don't really want to show that they are victims because they're afraid that maybe their bullies will, confront them because they are, snitching or something like that. So how did I get this data? How are people so confident in showing that, hey, I am a victim, hey, I am a cyberbullying victim? Well, because, as I've said before, the questionnaire will be filled anonymously. So inside of that Google form that I have given throughout the samples, throughout the groups in SMA Islam Athirah and Makassar, it is said directly that there's explanation about their privacy concerns. If it can be seen over here, oh, don't worry, it's a bit too small, I think. So yeah, overall, it just says that this will be filled anonymously, and there's no way in hell that people are going to find out who you are in answering the question. So all remains anonymous, and people are more showful of their emotions and so on and so forth inside of the questionnaire. They can show their true, what they are actually going through inside of that questionnaire. And as for when was this done, well, actually this is a funny story because I was pressured to do this. I was about to be at the deadline of my research, and I had to do it hastily. So it was at the first days of August. Actually, I compiled that data in the first months of August.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the chance. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, Daffa. Nice to meet you. Yeah, first time to see you. I'm also English teacher at SD Islam Athirah 1 Makassar, same as Miss Yanti. First of all, I would like to appreciate, give a big appreciation to Daffa. And from your research, from your KTI, I can assume that you are ready to be college student, yeah?
Because, thank you very much.
Yeah. Not all college students can create something like this, and you are at the very young age, you can create something like this. And yeah, appreciation also to your supervisors, of course, yeah? All right, so for the questions, maybe I would like to ask about the sample. Okay, as we know that bullying is not only happening in senior high school, and it's a big issue, in the world. So maybe you can share the reason why you choose the sample. Why not elementary school students? Why not junior high school students? Is there any specific reasons that you have? Yeah, why you choose those samples? Maybe this is not a question, but maybe suggestion. Yeah, for the data collecting method. maybe it's better if you show like formula, how you get the percentage, how you get the number, yeah, from the samples. I didn't see any formula there, so maybe when readers read your writing, they will know that, oh, okay, this is the way this researcher got the numbers. Yeah, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you for the appreciation and also the questions. For the samples, why did I pick students of SMA Islam Athirah 1 Makassar? Well, other than the obvious reason, I think that we can all agree upon that it's because it's my school right now, and it's the most easily accessed for the data for the population. I can easily access the population and data because, well, I'm currently enrolled in it, and I think that's the reason why I picked this. Because if I want to pick that on, for example, middle school or elementary, it's a harder of a reach for me to go there. Because why is this creepy guy going around asking about bullying? I don't think it's a fit. And for the suggestion for the formulas and so on, the numbers are simply being, for example, for this number for the prevalence rates, it's basically simple percentage. For the 42 samples, 28 out of the 28, for the 42 samples, there are picked 28 for the people that have never been bullied, and for those I use simple percentage and found the number of 66.67%. So there's not as much fancy data formulas and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sorry for that. I think that's all for me. I hopefully that answers your question, and thank you.
That was the question and answer session. Now we will move on to the next series of events, namely the awarding of certificates of appreciation to the examiners. I would like to welcome Bu Rismawati Razak, S.Pd, as the homeroom teacher to go up on the stage and accompany. I would also like to invite the parents of Muhammad Daffa Tsaqif Naufal to go up on the stage and accompany. Sekarang kami juga mengundang orang tua dan dari Zahra Zalika untuk naik ke atas panggung.